You probably heard this story. China runs a single blackmail-style system that tracks everything you do and assigns you a score that controls your job, travel, and even personal life, where high scores are rewarded and low scores are punished. Even in 2026, a quick Google search still paints this dystopian picture. But as an ordinary Chinese person, I can tell you this is a major misunderstanding, caused by mixing up several very different systems into one. The government is indeed spearheading a national social credit system, but the goal of this national level system is to improve market integrity, cut down commercial fraud, and ensure that both businesses and individuals honor contracts, pay off debts, and execute court judgments. It strictly targets severe breaches of trust and law, and it's absolutely not about tracking your everyday behavior. If a company sells counterfeit goods or defaults on loans, and still refuses to repay or compensate after a court issues a legally binding judgment, they may be placed on the list of dishonest persons subject to enforcement, essentially a defaulter's blacklist. They're then restricted from bidding, financing, or getting qualification approvals, forcing them to use corporate assets to pay off their debts. For example, the China Evergrande Group, overwhelmed by roughly $340 billion in debt, and unable to pay off, was put on this exact defaulters list and entered debt restructuring. Similarly, if an individual borrows money and refuses to pay it back, or defaults on compensation and refuses to comply with a binding court ruling, they can also be put on this defaulters list. Constantly, they will be restricted from high-end spending like flying, taking high-speed rail, or staying in the luxury star hotels. And this is likely where the rumors about child bans came from. The ecology of this national system is very simple. If you owe people money, the court orders you to pay it back, and you have the money but refuse to pay, you shouldn't be allowed to use that money, which rightfully belongs to your creditors, or luxury consumption beyond your basic living and working necessities. In fact, this national level system is fundamentally the same as that defaulter lists in many other countries. For instance, in the US, your credit report affects your ability to get a role or rent an apartment. In Europe, that registries restrict high-end spending. China simply expanded this goal to include businesses and severe legal violations. The core principle everywhere is exactly the same: punish dishonesty, protect integrity. Remember, at the national level, there are no scores, only lists. Some cities like Hangzhou and Suzhou have indeed parity scoring systems, but their nature is completely different and they will never roll down nationwide. First, participation is 100% voluntary. You can choose not to register, not to authorize it, and not to use this score at all, and it will have zero impact on your life. Second, it only offers positive incentives, there are no punitive measures. A high score gets you perks like free library boarding or public transit discounts. If your score is low, you simply don't get its perks. There are no punishments, no one is going to arrest you, and your travel will be restricted. Third, the evaluation criteria are strictly limited to severe legal or credit violations and have nothing to do with your daily behavior. It won't deduct points for jaywalking or littering, and it certainly won't end or subtract points based on your speech. Essentially, it's just a public convenience program launched by the local governments to encourage honest behavior. What truly caused the misunderstanding of the social credit score to go viral are actually the two major internet-based commercial credit scores we use every day in China, Sesame credit and WeChat pay score. Because they are heavily tied to everyone's daily consumption and lifestyle convenience, foreign media constantly confuse them with the national system. You might have heard of Sesame credit or Zima credit, but here I just call it Sesame credit. This is a commercial credit scoring system launched by Alipay, and is one of the mainstream non-official credit scoring systems in China. Users can voluntarily authorize Alipay to calculate its score using their consumption and repayment data. For example, your shopping habits on platforms like Taobao, your credit history using virtual credit cards, returning random items like share buys or power banks on time. If you have a high Sesame credit score, you unlock certain conveniences within the Alipay ecosystem and its partners. For example, when shopping, you can use buy now, pay later services. You can rent share bikes, power banks, or even apartments and cars deposit free. You qualify for small micro loans through Alipay. At certain research centers or travel agencies, a high score can simplify the required paperwork, making your visa application process much smoother. Also on Xianyu, China's largest second-hand marketplace, you can check the other party's Sesame credit score to help decide whether you want to try with them. Sesame credit just makes your daily life more convenient, and that's all there is to it. Besides Sesame credit, there is another similar commercial score operated by Tencent, the other private tech giant in China, the WeChat Pay score. Its scoring criteria and lifestyle policy offers are almost identical to Sesame credit. None of these commercial credit scores are tools used by the government to track your political views. A high score grants you deposit-free powers or quick rolls within their specific platforms. A low score, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. There are zero penalties, and it doesn't affect your daily shopping or normal life in any way. They are purely about your reliability as a consumer on their platforms. The media overlaps all these distinct systems, the government's national credit system and private companies' commercial scores, under one umbrella term, the social credit system. From there, they fabricated a terrifying Black Mirror story about the government using a unified score to control 1.4 billion people. My Sesame credit score is pretty high, and it honestly brings a lot of convenience to my life, especially when it comes to shopping. I'm not gonna sit here and cry out these so-called credit scores are actually perfect and only have upsides. But at the very least, I have never seen a single friend have their normal life distorted by it. China's social credit system is not some tool to manipulate citizens. Its core purpose is to crack down on malicious debits, tackle illegal business practices, protect the legal rights of ordinary people, and maintain fairness and integrity in the market.